Mhm. All
And
right.
I'm going to unmute. Oh, I'm
Okay,
so excited
unmute.
today with Mama Power bringing Unlock Your Unmute. So excited to be here and to welcome in Reverend Lisa Williams on the show today. It's just such a joy to see you on New Thought Media Network, shining your light and bringing
Yes.
your truth with your broadcast, Ignite Your Inner Dazzle. And I just feel on some level that we're kind of aligning here with
Mhm.
how I know that you have a spirit-led business where you bring your spirituality to light and you inspire other women to see and know the truth of who they are and to live a full life and live a meaningful life. And Reverend Lisa, just thank you for being here. Thank you so much for being here today.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It's such an honor to be here with you.
What does it
Yes, it's
mean for you, Reverend Lisa? Ignite your inner dazzle. What does that mean for you?
so igniting your inner dazzle. It's kind of my story from back way back when I had lost my mom to cancer as a teen, and then it's really been my entire journey of, I really felt like I lost my inner dazzle at that point, because she really was my self-esteem, my self-worth, all of that really was dependent on her. So it really was an entire journey of discovering and learning who I was and who I am, and really tapping into that inner dazzle, that inner part of ourselves where we know how to do things, we know what to do. It's that innermost part of us that is full of wisdom and love and living in authenticity, all of the beautiful qualities that we desire. And the great news is I finally discovered is that it is within us. We all possess these qualities, and that's part of my mission as with my business Inner Dazzle LLC is to remind women, especially, of their gifts, of their divine gifts within, because that's so important for us to acknowledge as women, especially to tap into that power and that energy and use it to guide our lives, because we really are strong and we are powerful women if we just tap into that. Because I think, coming back from that, from the past to now, it's like, lack of confidence, no self-worth, a lot of the things that, just kind of keep us down. And so as I tapped in and discovered these qualities within me, it's like, oh my gosh, I need to share this with the world. I want women to know how powerful they are and tap into that goddess energy that we are, that makes us who we are.
Wow, I want to share there. I mean, for you to have that happen with your mother, and then for you to turn it
Yeah.
around. This is the power of what you're saying here of how you
Yes.
turned it around so that you could learn from it and then share out to others because we don't want to keep
Hmm.
this to ourselves, do we? It's like
Right.
we've got to
Right.
tell the world.
Yes.
Yeah. And what was the thing for you? What came through as your gift? What was it? The gift that you discovered within
Oh,
yourself?
that's a good question. Gosh, I feel like there's lots of gifts within. I think a big thing for me is to be compassionate. I oftentimes pray to the goddess Kuan Yin, for she represents the idea of being of compassion. And so for me, it's like tuning into my own compassion, being compassionate for myself, number one. And sometimes that's difficult. Like I still have to remember to do that, because things can get challenging, as our lives are so full, as many of us are moms and we have kids and we have a lot of us are working full time. And to balance all of these things, it's like you have to find a way to bring compassion into your life. And so I feel like teaching that is huge, because I think oftentimes as women we don't give ourselves enough credit, and we're not compassionate with ourselves. And then of course being compassionate to others, because we have to do that in this world, because life gets challenging. And so it's about finding that compassion within and sharing it to, keeping it for yourself as well as sharing it to others in the world. So I would say that's probably
Yeah.
my biggest gift, is really tapping into that
Oh,
compassion. You know,
that is a major gift that you have there.
yeah,
Yeah, major, because you're so right. For so many of us, we forget that it's, to practice compassion for ourselves. We're good at doing it for others. We're good at being
right.
there for others, and sort of
Yes,
putting ourselves second or third or fourth on the list,
exactly,
and
exactly.
making sure everyone else is good, especially our
Hmm.
children and
Yes.
our parents, or people we're
Hmm.
caring for, our relationships. And then where are we in all of this? We get
Where do
lost.
we, yeah, yeah,
And
that's what happens. Yeah. And that's what I find,
yeah.
and then that's a part of what I teach is, I think over the years, a lot of times we do get lost in all of the busyness that we are doing. And we're not really taught in school. They don't teach us about, self-care and taking care of yourself and honoring yourself. I mean, we don't really learn that stuff other than you might learn it through your parents or maybe at church or with some friends. But I think, at that time, it's like if we are lost, we got to find our way back. And so that's where the inner dazzle comes in, is really learning about how to tune in and tap into that divine energy that lives within us so that we can connect to our source. Therefore, then we're not lost, because we can really step into our power. We can share that compassion to ourselves and others, and really be, live a life with intention instead of just, you know, running around like a chicken in our daily life. It's like, that's part of what I have done in the past. And it's like, well, that doesn't work very well,
Oh yeah.
and it's just living by just reacting instead of, so it's learning about how to be proactive versus reactive in our daily life with our, relationships and moving about our day. So I think that makes a big
I
difference.
am so inspired by what you have just said, because it was about 2 months ago that I had this insight in me. I
Mm-hmm.
realized I was just living on default, and I wasn't actually creating my day the way I wanted it to really happen. I
Mm-hmm.
was just reacting to everything, and it was to do with exercise and what I was eating and
Mm-hmm.
how I scheduled my day, my daily planner. It was all sorts of
Mm-hmm.
things that I just put on the back burner. I definitely wasn't being compassionate with myself and loving all areas
Yeah.
of me. And
Right.
and then I realized, oh my gosh, I'm the one in charge here. I can
Exactly.
I can set my
Exactly.
day the way I want it to be.
Yeah, that's the thing. You just forget, or we don't realize. It's like, oh my gosh, like I can be the co-creator, with spirit, with God, with that source,
Yes.
Yeah.
And why is it though? This is what really interested me, is that I knew that. I know I can co-create. I mean, it's what I
Yeah.
teach. But I hadn't taken it on board and thought, well, it's me. I can do it. I'm telling others they can do it. And why aren't I doing it?
Hmm.
We put ourselves last. This is the compassion piece, isn't it?
Yes, for sure. And we all do that. I mean, that's the thing, is that we're human. We're human beings as spiritual beings, but we're human first, well, we're spiritual first, but then we're human. And so I think that's the thing, is that, and many of us, you, me, I mean, we've been in new thought and understand the teachings and the training, but life gets busy and we forget. And so that's why I think spiritual practice is so important. And I'm learning that over the years, and I'm just getting better and better at taking time in the mornings to, even if it's 5 minutes, I'll put my Insight timer. I don't know if you're familiar with that app. It's an app on my phone, and it's called Insight Timer, and it's guided meditations, and they're free. So you can I tap into that little guy, and I just go sit in my meditation chair, and 5 minutes in the morning at least, and just to center and come from creating intention. It's like, okay, I'm going to create this day with intention instead of just haphazardly running around, which happens sometimes too.
Yeah.
But, so the idea is to create that spiritual practice so that you begin to tap into that inner dazzle, that inner part of yourself that knows how to be calm and peaceful and, and come from a, intentional perspective instead of just running around like a crazy person. Or at least that's how I feel
Yes.
sometimes, so
Oh yeah, I've been there, definitely.
yeah,
Wow. And you, what I love is that you're a reverend, you're a spiritual teacher, spiritual leader, and
yes,
you are, you're very present here on New Thought Media Network with your ministering, and you marry people as well. I love
yes.
that part. I just
I
love
love
that. You
weddings.
bring people together in union. I
Fif-
love it. And
15 years
you
I've been
have
doing
a
weddings.
15 years doing weddings. I want to talk
Yeah,
about that, but I just want to say as well that you also have your coaching and mentoring business, Ignite Your Inner
yes.
Dazzle. So you've got all these things kind of
Yeah,
wow, and yet
yeah,
they're all one because it's all one and the same, isn't it? And yet you're
yes.
gonna
It is a
yes.
little, sometimes,
So
yeah, it's balancing, it's a balancing act
yeah, so,
at times, you know, sometimes better than others, but yeah, and it's the good news is I finally learning to, it's things that I'm doing things that I love, which is to me part of the goal of, in my spiritual coaching, my spiritual life coach business. Yeah, I have a couple different programs, but they're designed to help women, first of all, connect with yourself and then connect with your children and then be able to do what you love, and because then we can just be who we are instead of just having to step into roles where we're, maybe that's just not what resonates with us. And I've been there. I mean, I'm also a hairdresser for a million years. Like, that was always my fallback job. But it's like now, as I move into the spiritual coaching business, the weddings and my ministry, it's like that's when I'm just the happiest because I'm doing what I love. And then my inner dazzle just comes out naturally because I'm doing what I love. And so I think that makes a huge difference. So it's about for all of us women and moms to learn to discover what that is in our lives, because I think a lot of times, like we said, we get lost sometimes,
yeah,
or we're just busy raising our kids and we don't even, we as an individual don't we don't have anything we don't have anything going for us. And it's like, okay, well, it's time to find your passion and your goals, and we're able to set some intention about what it is you want to create in this world for you, for you and for others. How do we serve others? By stepping into our own light. I think that's the thing. Stepping into our own
I
light.
I
Yeah.
I so agree with you. And I was having
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
really amazing conversation with somebody yesterday, and I know I'm not going to share that obviously, but I'll just share a piece of the conversation because we were talking about this, and we were talking about how even that can be a block, because for many of us we haven't been given that permission to do that, and
Right.
we're kind of on automatic pilot of still in our subconscious on automatic pilot of, well, I need to be pleasing that person by providing this role or doing this job or doing, and
Yes.
stepping out can be scary. Can be scary, can't it? To actually break
Yes.
free of that mold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's how it's just how we're raised. I think maybe it's just it's a culture thing, just to people please, and we're the women, we're the caregivers, we do all the and yet it's like, okay, well, when do we take care of ourselves? Where does that fit in?
Yes. And I love what you were telling me before we came on today. You were telling me about your book. Have you got your book here that you can show?
Yes. Yeah.
It's such a beautiful story of how this came about. I'd love you to share your fabulous fairy tales.
4 fabulous fairy tales and mindful mini meditations. And this book was written by my daughter and I, and this whole process started back when she was 4. She is now almost 13. But the goal in my mind was, okay, how do I get this child to go to bed at night? So as a younger mom, before it was like, okay, well, let's figure out how to get her to sleep. So we would come up with fairy tales. We would create just out of the blue. We would make our own fairy tales up. And then, because I have been a minister since 2002, I would just add in a little mini guided meditation at the end. And she would just gently fall right to sleep. So it was a beautiful, beautiful experience. So I was at lunch with one of my friends one day, and she's like, I was telling her about this whole thing. She goes, well, why don't you write those stories down and, make a book out of it? I'm like, who, me write a book? I don't know. Can I do that? I could. And, and then, I had this journal, for years I had a journal, and finally, 2 years ago, I think it was. Yeah, it was right before COVID. Well, it was a process, but I put these stories together, and then I found an amazing illustrator, and here's one of my little unicorns. And an amazing illustrator, and she helped put together. Oh, this is one of my favorites. Look at the illustrations.
Oh, beautiful.
She's amazing.
Wow.
So these stories are about, the first one is self-love, self-compassion. The second one is honoring others. The third story is about a princess who discovers her confidence. And then the fourth story is about two twins that discover a dragon, and this dragon represents kindness. So they come up with this little dragon that they find, and he talks to them about being kind to others. So there's some beautiful messages in there as well. But yeah, so I'm really grateful, because I feel like any tools that we can use to helping our children get to sleep, number one, and number two, it teaches them all these beautiful spiritual principles, which we got to have those. And I think kids naturally are attuned to these qualities, and they are attuned to being these qualities just by nature. They're kind, they're loving, they're just mostly sweet, and so I think it's just a great tool to can help them connect and remember these truths about themselves as they get older, because it's the qualities we need to know at any age, all these qualities.
Absolutely. So, I mean, there are so many things there, it's just beautiful that you did that, and you're sharing it out to the world. And
yes.
And your daughter's going to have that as like she'll remember that. And it's so beautiful that you published it, and she can say, as she grows up, wow, this is what I did with my mom. I'm a published author.
Yeah, and then
she's very empowering.
Yeah, she shared it at school. I told her, I'm like, well, why don't you take it to your language arts teacher, and share. And first she's shy about it, and then we took it in, and everybody was just like, wow, you're a published author and you're 12, So then she realized, oh, this really is powerful. So it was it was a good experience for her to really see what it meant, and how powerful these stories are. So yeah, and it's available on Amazon if you are looking for one. You can find one there. Amazon. Yes, okay. Yep, Amazon. For Fabulous.
The other thing, For Fabulous
fairy tales.
Oh, hold it up again. Fairy tales. Sorry.
Yeah. For Fabulous fairy tales.
For Fabulous fairy tales.
Yeah. Yep. So you can find it there.
Right, available on Amazon.
Yes.
And the other thing is it's the mom or the dad or the person, the carer, reading it out is going to get a message as well.
Oh, that's the great thing about it, because it's it's twofold for sure. It's a lesson. It's those spiritual principles are good for, like I said, for all of us, for any age. So they're great reminders of tapping into that inner part, that inner dazzle that knows all these beautiful qualities are within. So these stories are a great way to connect with that. even for your inner child. I had one of my friends, she's like, well, I'm going to just get one for me, even though I don't even have any kids, because I have an inner child and I can read these stories to
Yeah.
my inner child. I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, we
So,
all have an inner child.
yes, exactly. So, yeah, it's great.
So what you're doing is so inspiring for women
Thank you.
to, to really get in touch with who they are. And
Hmm.
also, I love it that you're just weaving in your spiritual practice with this, because your business is your ministry. It's
Yes.
one beautiful thing. And I'm really excited to hear about what it that called you to marry people.
Oh
What was
gosh,
that
that's
part
really
of you that
a
yes,
great
I
story.
just it's
Well,
so beautiful. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, the first wedding I officiated was back, I had just graduated the school of ministry. So I was kind of fresh out of school. So I was really nervous, but it was actually one of my friends that had asked me to officiate for her dad was getting remarried. So that it was just such an amazing experience that day. The idea of, bringing two people together, it was just such a it's hard to even put words to it. There's just such an amazing feeling that you get from, kind of ushering these two people into this next level of their relationship, and just seeing and feeling the love that they share with each other, and then to be able to express that, with the vows and the rings and the whole entire process. So after that day, I remember driving home, and I just had the most amazing feeling of oneness. I guess it's hard to even put words to it, but it was such an amazing experience. I was so enamored by it. I'm like, I could just do this every day, and I don't even need to get paid. That's how much I enjoyed it. And
Wow.
so I began a journey of putting together a wedding company, and Your Heart's Desire Wedding. And so yeah, I began officiating, and now I have several packages, and finally back this year I'm finally getting back on track after COVID. We were, kind of slowed down to about zero there for that year,
Yeah.
but because people, I did a few Zoom weddings, which was interesting, but
Did you?
it's great to be able to usher people into that next step in their relationship. And I like to do really like co-create with them a unique ceremony. So that's something I enjoy, is writing the ceremony, helping them write their vows, all of that great stuff. But it's just definitely been something that I have loved, and it's 15 years I've been doing it, and I just still enjoy every couple, because everybody's unique, and I just enjoy learning about them and helping them tap into that inner part of themselves where they can really connect and find the words to express to each other, and moving into this next part of their life. So yeah, it's something that I really enjoy.
Oh, this is so beautiful. I don't think I've ever
Yeah.
spoken with anyone like this about, marrying people. And I'm not
Yeah.
married. I've been
Yeah.
with my partner for 7 years, and we're not
Oh
married.
yeah.
But
Oh, that's
it's
wonderful.
like we're not. You know what I
Well,
mean?
yeah, that's the thing. And then, yeah, a lot of times I'll ask people, so what was it? Because a lot of people nowadays, yeah, they live together, and, they've been together a few years. And then, I always say, well, what was it that made you decide to, move into marriage? Because you've already been together and stuff. But, and I get a lot of different answers, but, people are just finally ready to
Yeah.
make that next level of commitment to each other. And then there really is something magical that happens the day of the ceremony when we perform it, and they're speaking the words, and it's like setting that their intention for their love for one another and their dedication, and being partners and being together. It's just really a neat experience. And then they always say at the end, it's like, wow, that was, it's more powerful than you realize, because you're setting that intention by the
Yeah.
words and the actions that they take during the ceremony. So it's really, really a great and beautiful experience.
Oh, you know
Yeah.
what I'm hearing and feeling from you. I mean, I know I'm here in England and
Really.
you're in America, and I'm just feeling your enthusiasm and your. It's like your inner dazzle is inner dazzling. It's outer dazzling. It's like everywhere dazzling.
Yeah,
Because
thank
you're
you.
really
Yes.
doing what you love doing, and I can really
Yeah.
feel that everything you're talking about is so connected and embedded in your heart. And that's really important, isn't it? That we follow our hearts.
Yeah,
because
that's
I know
the
when I'm
the
working
big
with
thing.
people that yeah. And how would you speak on that for if there's anyone listening right now that feels like they're just going through, they're too scared or haven't got that to take the leap.
Yeah, that oomph.
When it's not
Yeah.
really a leap, it's like that oomph. But they're just feeling like, they might feel it's a risk or it's a challenge to actually do what I really want to do, and I don't, they might not feel ready to actually take that next step forwards. What would you say to that woman now that might be listening?
I would just say, part of me says, just do it. Just do it. I mean, because I understand that completely. We all come from, or many of us, I think, come from that. Where I was terrified to do that first wedding. When my friend asked me, I'm like, wait, you want me to officiate a wedding? Like, I'm like, who, me? Like, questioning myself. Like, can I actually do that? I don't think I'm good enough, or whatever. And we all feel those feelings. That's human. We're normal, that's normal feelings to not feel like you're equipped or smart enough or wise enough or experienced enough. But, that day I chose to just step into it and do it and try it. And you just take it's just one step at a time, really. And even if it's like on the side, because of course I was still working my other job and doing other things, because we have life, and we have bills to pay and stuff. But I think it's just taking one step, even if you take one step every day toward that goal, even if you just write out what it is, and I always tell people, sit and take a moment in meditation. I do this with my clients. I'll say, okay, I want to just take a few minutes. We're going to sit, and I want you to just ask yourself, what do I want? What do I want in my life? What do I want? And it's amazing when you get to ask yourself, well, what do I want? Because a lot of times nobody asks us what we want, because we're the moms. We're out there doing everything for everybody else. So when you actually get time to ask yourself, what is it I want? What is the next step for me to help tap into my inner dazzle and tap into that truth of who I am? Ask yourself, what is it I desire? What do I want to do in my life? What do I want to do with my life? One step at a time. Journaling is a beautiful way to begin to tap into that and connect with that part of you. I think that's really powerful, because when we write things out, you're getting it out first of all, and then as journaling is just a really powerful technique. So one step a day, one thing, one little tiny action, because the little tiny actions do build up. And then, because what you're doing is you're creating that intention, you're setting that intention into the universe, which we know in our teachings is, as we put forth intention, the universe is listening, and it does respond. And a lot of times it takes longer than you think, but it is working for you. The universe is working for you. So I think that's just, taking that first step and just saying, hey, what is it I really desire? Journal it out, write it out, and just say, hey, I'm going to do one little tiny thing every day that gets me closer to what it is that I want to do, or discovering who I am and what do I want.
Yes, I love all of that. And I want to just add in here that it's not selfish to do what we want.
That's great.
Because some people think, I can't do that. It's too selfish.
Yes.
It's not selfish.
Yes, correct. That is so correct.
It's a necessity.
Yes, it is a necessity.
Yeah.
And it's okay to do that. It's okay to just put those intentions out there. Begin to tap into who you really are.
Oh, Reverend Lisa, thank you so much for coming on to unlock your divine mama power. It's just such a blessing that you show up here and you do everything that you're doing